What if you could learn to get things done without the mental stress that comes along with prioritizing your tasks and creating to-do lists? If that sounds enticing to you, then keep listening, because the Pomodoro Technique is all about teaching you how to do just that by showing you a simple and effective framework for structuring your day-to-day activities. By the time you're done listening to this audiobook summary, you will know how to manage big tasks and motivate yourself to take action through the process of cutting down large, complex tasks into smaller, more manageable chunks. You'll also get all of your work-related actions, projects, and ideas in order, giving you the control you need to be more effective in your personal and professional life. Overview. Procrastination is a term that's become popular in recent decades, and it's no surprise either. Many of us can relate to the problem of procrastination, and we're pretty familiar with it. It's early evening, you're sitting in front of your computer screen, and you know those 50 empty PowerPoint slides will not be filling themselves. And yet, instead of tackling this mammoth project, you spend hours perusing Facebook, looking at friends' vacation pictures, and all of that other useless, fun, but distracting stuff. Heck, most of the time you don't even enjoy it, and in fact feel quite guilty about doing so, and yet you just can't stop yourself from doing it. Every 5 minutes is marked by opening your email box, hoping that you'll have a chance to delete some spam mail and give yourself a short reprieve from the guilt of procrastination. It's like a hamster on a wheel. Hours pass, and after 7 cappuccinos, the presentation is still far from finished. It's this very scenario that prompted author Francesco Cirillo to get a handle on his procrastination problem. And he did it with a tomato-shaped kitchen timer. Since then, he's been using this simple little tool to chop every task into smaller, more manageable and motivating chunks or units that he calls pomodori. His technique has helped chronic procrastinators all over the planet get a handle on their procrastination problem and learn to start enjoying their work rather than pushing it to the wayside over and over and over again. Big idea number 1. Chop your work down into little pomodori in order to make it manageable. For many of us, when it comes to getting work done, time is our greatest enemy. It seems to stretch endlessly while you're trying to finish the first slide of your boring presentation, and then it flies away when you waste time surfing the web. Before you've even managed to finish that first slide, it's time to go home or go to sleep. You look at your to-do list and see that nothing's gotten done, and another day bites the dust. The guilt and frustration of not accomplishing your to-dos follows you home too. And since the work's got to get done, you decide to work the night shift. But even then, you spend most of your time surfing the net, checking Facebook, doing useless things. After another long night of doing nothing, you go to bed frustrated and fatigued, only to wake up the next morning to repeat this vicious cycle. When does it end? This is a routine that many of us know. Thankfully, though, studies have shown that we can easily overcome these unhealthy work habits. Here's how. Divide your work into small, manageable tasks of 20 to 45 minutes per task and work within those short chunks of time without any breaks or any interruptions. This is the concept behind the Pomodoro Technique. Here's how it works. Set a timer for 25 minutes and spend that time focusing on one single task that you've decided on ahead of time, no matter what. This 25-minute chunk is called a Pomodoro. Once the timer rings, take a 5-minute break to relax. Drink a glass of water, stretch or stand, or move around a little bit. After your break, you'll be refreshed and ready for your next Pomodoro. Big idea number 2. Pomodori help you stay motivated so that you can get stuff done and get rid of stress. Structuring your work into little Pomodori is so easy and beneficial that there's no reason not to try it. You don't have to learn any sophisticated techniques or take a lot of time to learn a new system or buy expensive gear, and yet it can help anyone rid themselves of the guilt and anxiety of procrastination while making work rewarding and motivating. In essence, this technique puts you back in control of your days, weeks, months, years, and all of your time. And since each Pomodoro, each little 25-minute chunk of time, is so small, it's nearly impossible not to maintain focus during that time period. And knowing that you've only got to work on insert boring task here for just 25 minutes or less will help you avoid procrastinating on it and take short but focused action towards finishing it instead. This, in turn, makes it easier to stay motivated and get more out of your day. You know, you can't climb Mount Everest in one leap. Trying to accomplish any large task at once is daunting and leads to procrastination. You spend a majority of your time doing nothing, and then, right before your deadline, you try and cram everything in at once. However, setting a goal of 10 Pomodori per day, i.e., just 250 minutes, makes each step of the climb easier to manage with small steps daily, and it will get you a lot further up that mountain than an all-out sprint at the last minute. Pomodori also help you keep up your spirits, since each Pomodoro is manageable by itself to start and you don't have to think about the entire project that you need to finish. In addition, the steady pace of 25-minute chunks or intervals keeps you from getting worn out, thus saving you both energy and sanity. Using the Pomodoro technique, you can go home with a feeling of accomplishment, knowing that you actually got something done. Rather than working those night shifts on the sofa, you can use your free time to relax, spend time with your family, or just chill. Big idea number 3. There's no such thing as a half Pomodoro. Pomodori are always 25 minutes long. As simple as the Pomodoro technique is, it only works if you adhere to the rules. The first and most important of these rules is this: there are only complete Pomodori. No halves, no 80% complete, and especially none that you finish with a minute left before the timer rings. Once you've started your timer, you're committed to 25 minutes of focused work on that specific task, project, or presentation. It's a block of time. Do not stop under any circumstances before those 25 minutes are over. That means no giving in to the temptation of grabbing a quick snack or checking your email or anything that is not specifically related to the task at hand, no matter how brief it may be. In the event that you open your inbox to peek at your emails in a moment of weakness, immediately cancel your Pomodoro and start over. Incomplete Pomodori do not count. Why do you need to be so strict with yourself? Because you want this practice to eventually become a habit, something that you do automatically without thinking about. Strict adherence to these rules is the only way to discipline yourself to make that change happen. But then what do you do if you finish a task in only 20 minutes instead of 25? Simple. You just keep going. Ask yourself if there's anything else that you could review or perfect or tweak in your presentation. Are you sure you use the best font? If you quote unquote finish early, don't end the Pomodoro, don't start your break, and don't even think about checking your email before the 25 minutes are over. There's always at least a little bit more that you can do. And if there's truly nothing that you can do to improve your work and there are still 2 minutes left on your timer or something, then review your work anyway and recap what you've done to ingrain it in your memory. Or consider journaling about it. Big idea number 4. Breaks are not optional. Once you've finished your Pomodoro, saved all of your new work, and crossed off the task from your to-do list, you must observe the second, yet equally important rule. Breaks are mandatory. You should take this very seriously. Please take it seriously. If you want to maintain a focused mind, then you need to give it a break. This means that you shouldn't waste your 5-minute break by checking your email or doing anything strenuous. As authors Tony Schwartz and Jim Lohr say in The Power of Full Engagement, everything has an energy consequence. So, take a moment to relax, enjoy the feeling of being done, and allow your mind to recalibrate so that it can focus on the next task that you need to tackle. Side note warning, if you do not stick to this rule, then it will become harder and harder to stay motivated. In keeping with a schedule of 25 minutes of focus followed by 5 minutes of rest, you are showing your mind that it needs to sustain its focus for short sprints or intervals, thus making it easier to stay motivated. You're sort of training your mind. If you dilute that rhythm, then there's no reason for your mind not to procrastinate because there's no longer a clear division between focus time and break time. In addition to the 5-minute breaks after each Pomodoro, there's another very important kind of break. After you've finished 4 Pomodori, little 25-minute sessions of focused work, treat yourself to a longer break of 15 to 30 minutes. This method of structuring your time has been proven to work especially well both in terms of being effective as well as sustaining motivation throughout your workday, thus helping you accomplish more with less stress. Simple, right? Next, let's look at the quote-unquote highly advanced tools you need to use in order to use this simple Pomodoro technique. Big idea number 5. All you need to get started is a timer and 2 lists. Simple tools are often the best, and luckily, the tools needed for the Pomodoro technique are simple enough that you've probably already got them lying around the house. First things first, you're gonna need a timer. Some people use the same stopwatch that they use for their jogging or exercising sessions. Smartphones work too. Just be sure to set it to that do not disturb mode while you're working. Next, you'll need 2 simple lists. List number 1 should read to do today, and list number 2 should read inventory. To do today includes everything you want to get done. Captain Obvious, today. So here's an example. Outline presentation structure. That's 4 Pomodori. Follow up with Jeff about the widget account. That's 2 Pomodori. Set up recurring bill pay for electric bill. That's 1 Pomodoro. So always be sure to place the amount of time, i.e. Pomodori, that it's going to take to get each task done. So, where do all these tasks come from? They're from your inventory list. This is where you've collected all the tasks you want to get done at some point now or in the future. One thing you will have to learn is how to estimate how many Pomodori, as we just mentioned, are needed for a given task. Although your estimates won't be spot on or anything like that in the beginning, you'll get better and better at it with time. Soon enough, you'll be quite good at intuitively estimating how many 25-minute chunks of time you'll need to outline your presentation or sort through your inbox or whatever else you need to do. So how do you sustain enough motivation to get through your to-do today list? Simply vary up your tasks. It's called variety, the spice of life. If your presentation on quote-unquote time management tasks, for example, will take approximately 20 pomodori to complete, just chop it up into smaller units. Working an entire day on this big, giant project or a single task without ever finishing it is much less rewarding and therefore less motivating than finishing the 4 pomodori task of outline presentation structure after your first 2 hours of work. Big idea number 6, your greatest enemies, internal and external interruptions. By now, you've seen that time is not your adversary when you use it the right way. Utilizing the Pomodoro Technique is the key to success in time management. However, there are hidden enemies lurking around waiting to disrupt your productivity if you don't actively protect your Pomodori. These are interruptions, i.e. anything that takes your focus away from the task at hand and shifts it to something else. It might be hard to believe, but most people's workdays consist primarily of one interruption after another. They are everywhere, all the time, waiting to ruin and crush your productivity. Every phone call, every email you receive, every time you give in to the temptation to check your team's results from last night's game, or every time you get a snack or order a pizza or check your stats from something, all of these pull you from your focused working mode and interrupt your Pomodori, and therefore make you less efficient. There are generally 2 main types of interruptions: internal and external. Internal interruptions come from within, the stream of thoughts that pop into your mind all the time, interrupting your train of thought and pulling you off track. These are things like a sudden idea for a project that you wanted to work on later, the impulse to order pizza or to check an email notification, the spontaneous recollection that you need to buy your significant other a birthday present, and on and on and on and on and on. External interruptions come from outside forces that demand your immediate attention, such as that complainaholic friend of yours who always calls to complain about stuff that's out of their control, like how much it's raining outside, for instance, incoming spam mail, or the pizza guy knocking on your door delivering that pizza that you ordered earlier. These interruptions are not only a nuisance, but they also contribute to reduced productivity and those terrible feelings of guilt and frustration that come along with them. If only there were a way to get these interruptions under control. Luckily, there's big idea number 7. You can manage any kind of interruption in order to sustain your focus. Repeat the following to yourself over and over and over again. Interruptions are not my master. I can and will protect my Pomodoro. Inevitably, some internal interruption will pop into your mind while you are trying to focus on your task and demand your immediate, undivided attention. Like a child whining for some candy, these interruptions must be dealt with. And when this happens, just jot it down somewhere and get back to your Pomodoro. That's the solution. Put it in an inbox, get it somewhere on paper, capture it in a digital device. Doing so gives you the ability to open up much more profound levels of productivity. So please remember to jot down or capture your ideas as they arise, or interruptions as they arise in your mind. If you're not having a heart attack, then it can wait until you're finished with the task at hand. Once your Pomodoro is complete, take a moment and examine the thought that you jotted down earlier. The idea, the internal thought or interruption of whatever kind it may have been, or idea that had maybe absolutely nothing to do with the time block or Pomodoro or task that you were focusing on in that given moment. Just kind of pull it back out and take a peek at it. Often, what seemed so critical and so urgent while you were in your Pomodoro actually ends up in the trash bin later on. If it still seems important, then put it in your inventory list or place it in your to-do today list. In the event of an external interruption, try not to get roped into other people's business. Take the steering wheel and train others to respect you and your schedule. Most phone calls are actually not urgent. Call them back after you're done. Turn off your email notifications and check emails 1 to 2 times per day, and never during a Pomodoro. If someone comes by to say hello, they're to be met with a friendly but firm goodbye. You may only interrupt your Pomodoro in case of a real, actual emergency. Don't let stupid things distract you and rob you of your effectiveness. If someone tries to interrupt you, then a response like, I'm in the middle of a Pomodoro right now, and I'll give you a call back once I'm done. Or, just 10 minutes, then I can help you, okay? Are perfectly appropriate. You'd be surprised, actually, but most people will understand and even respect your desire to stay focused. Ideally, though, you would actually train these people not to distract you in the first place during these time blocks. You can do this by telling them about the Pomodoro Technique and informing them of how it works. Closing notes. The key takeaway from this book is this. The Pomodoro Technique is as simple as it is effective. Chop your work into more manageable 25-minute chunks during which you work totally uninterrupted. Afterwards, take a break to relax and recharge your batteries so you can start your next 25 minutes of focused work without getting tired. Actionable insights? Don't get caught up in a web of distractions. If you're in the middle of focused work and your colleagues who you like and respect want to chat with you about the game last night, simply politely yet firmly tell them that you'll get back to them shortly. Personal relationships are, of course, important, but allowing these sorts of interruptions will simply cascade into another wasted day where nothing gets done.